Morning, everyone.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are
Good
you?
morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome
Good morning.
to another day. How does everyone feel? Why don't you enter in the chat how you're feeling this morning? Great, it's a sunny day, Felicitas, it is. Got up too early, the sun is out. Good morning, feeling good, great. Welcome to everyone to Plan for Profit for Professional Services. I'm glad everyone's ready to go. Glad everyone's ready to go. So let's get started. So class 2 is about target market and customer segmentation and customer discovery. So we're going to talk about the homework. If anyone has any questions, we'll start talking about market research. We're going to do some target market analysis, and I know that'll be different for people that are business to business versus those that are business to consumer. But we will consider everyone, and you'll work together on a project and start thinking about who your target market is if you don't already know. And at the same time, we'll complete a business assumptions exercise about your target market. And then we're going to also give you a chance to pitch. If someone wants to just do a 1-minute pitch, 30-second pitch to say their name, their business name, and the problem they're solving, we're going to give you an opportunity in the second half of class. And then we're going to create some questions or take the questions I sent to you. I sent you some last night in an email and complete some mock interviews. So you're going to practice interviewing another person and then take that out into the world and find people that will help you narrow down your target market or narrow down your unique value proposition or narrow down the partners you think will refer business to you. So did anyone have any questions on their business model canvas? Does anyone want to share something that they learned by doing it?
Hi, this is Mahen. I have a question. I have a couple of questions. Can you hear me? Well,
Yes, I can hear you. You're a little quiet.
okay, I'll speak a little louder. I think
Okay.
maybe. So I went through the business model canvas, and there were a few questions that I was like, wow, I didn't even think about these questions, and I don't know how to answer those for my consulting business, the finance accounting consulting business. Can I go through them? Can we quickly go through them now? Yeah.
Sure, because if you have a question, someone else probably does too.
Okay. So it's on the left side of the model where it starts, who helps you, right? Who are the key partners? With whom do you need to work to deliver your solution? And who are your suppliers and vendors? So in my case, it's mostly me and one of my accountant that we work together to get the job done, get the client engagement done or the project done. So who would be my key partners, or who would be my, it's basically employees, I would think. Am I thinking right in that aspect?
It can be employees, but that's really your key assets. So your key resources are your employees. Your key partners are going to be, like, remember in the lemonade example, it was the municipality. So it's kind of like your partners outside of your business. So referral partners. So it might be other accountants that have seen your work and can refer you to another company.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. And
Maura,
then,
would it also be like your supplier? Is that a different question than the supplier of your product? Like if you're making lemonade, is it, the sugar and the lemons? Is that a partner or is that a supplier?
The supplier would be a partner. The sugar and the lemons would be the assets, the key resources. But yeah, your suppliers, I don't think Mayhem will have suppliers. I mean, unless you have software suppliers or something that,
Yeah, no, it's mostly, so my resource, my lemonade is mostly my work, the work we do, the intellectual ideas and execution of those ideas. That's the lemonade in
right.
my business.
Yeah. So I think it's any referral partners. So you have to
Okay.
start thinking, you know, where could I find people that could lead me to business? It might not be, but it might be, you know, your past customers could be your partners also, because they may know of other companies that need your help.
Yes, excellent. That's actually a very good point. Past customer. That's how I've gotten most of my business. If I
Yeah.
think about it now, that past customers move on to different roles, different companies, and they call you back.
Yeah, they bring you in. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Two more questions.
Okay.
Won't take much more time. What kind of activities do you need to do to provide value? What would be that? Like,
So that's just the key activities that you provide. So do you do financial projections? Do you do
Yeah.
budgeting? Do you do,
okay. Yeah, that the tools or the services that I specialize in.
Yeah.
In work. And then the next is, what do you need to do better than your competition? Yeah, I think just have to do a better job or provide a better value than the competition.
Yeah.
Now better service than competition.
Yeah.
And then the last bucket was who you are and what you have, the key resources question.
Yeah. So those are your assets. So those would be your employees.
Okay.
And maybe, I mean, do you use QuickBooks? Do you use Excel?
Yeah.
Are you doing models?
Yeah, both, all of the above. QuickBooks, Excel, Zero, and Sage. Those are a couple of tools that we use.
Yep. So those would all be your resources.
Okay. Well, and then who's on your team is my employees, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think I got all my questions answered. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Sure. Anyone else? Did you have any questions after reading Talking to Humans? Do you understand why we have to get out?
Yeah, actually, I don't really have a question as much as somebody else pointed out to me that I think this is maybe a little different than when you're talking to strangers, but like somebody said, oh yeah, you know, you could go on to like Facebook, for example. I don't think this is in the Talking to Humans article, but it was just like an example of a way that you could do some research. And then this other person said, oh, well, that's probably not good because people aren't honest enough, basically, when they are encountered sometimes even with a question, maybe on Facebook because they know who you are, you know, maybe even at a store potentially. I thought it was a really interesting comment. I'm curious what you would think more of that, because basically the idea was you need to go someplace like where people are super anonymous, like online, like one of the suggestions was like Reddit or Quora, some websites where people just talk about some of their pain points basically, and you kind of like call your information from there by like making like a you know, spreadsheet basically of the pain points people talk about. And I thought that was an interesting take on this, you know, another way of talking to humans basically, but it's
Right.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, I like that idea. You do want it anonymous. I mean, we don't know if the other person's going to be honest in a one-on-one interview. That's why you really don't want to ask the question, will you buy this? Instead, you're going to want to ask the question, what have you done before? And has that worked? Because people will always say, if they're face-to-face, they'll probably always say, yes, I'll buy it. But when it comes down to it, will they hand over the money? So it's really figuring out if your unique value proposition matters to them. And so I think Reddit is a great way to test it. I think Facebook still is a great way because you can get into those groups of like mom entrepreneurs and they don't really have a reason to lie, except maybe they're being nice to everyone. I think it's just a numbers game. And then when you start hearing the same thing over and over and over, then you've kind of reached the point of saturation. And I don't think you have to test much more.
Yeah, that's good. So I've already started doing a little bit of this, and so far I've heard different pain points or different, from different people. So I think you're right. I think I haven't reached that saturation point yet.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to get into market research. So there are different types of market research, primary market research and secondary market research. Can anyone tell me the difference?
Primary market research is about, you research, you go to your client or whoever you are doing research for to get primary market data. And the secondary is more about focus on the existing white paper or research information to do a kind of a conclusion of all the information you gather. So one is more ground-based. You have to send out survey. You have to, like if you want to know a healthcare industry size, you go to the healthcare value chain, different parts, then do research. Then the secondary will be looking at all the white paper or research paper and then make a conclusion.
Exactly. So primary market research can be more expensive, and it's one-on-one, it's surveys, interviews, direct contact with your market or your industry or your competition, talking to your competitors. And secondary market research is a great way to start figuring out more about your industry. You can go to the library. I have Harold Washington Library listed here. They're a great resource. They have business librarians, but in your community, you might have a business librarian that can help you. So secondary sources, let's say you're selling, what would be an example? Like sports shoes. You could study the industry online and go to the library finding more about sports shoes. But if you were making a particular type of basketball shoes for young men, you'd want to get out and talk to the young men, and that would be the primary market research. And we can help you with the secondary market research. We can't help you with the primary. I mean, we can help you, guide you, but we can't do it for you. The secondary market research, we have resources, and you have resources, and we're going to have a librarian come one of the classes, and she'll show you some of the databases that you can get at the library that'll help you do the market research, secondary market research. And the typical topics we cover in market research are the target market, the industry, and then your competition. The objective is to become a subject matter expert within your industry and then figure out your target market. So today we're going to focus on target market, and we're going to work on primary market research. So can anyone give me a definition of target market?
Are those oh, I'm sorry. Whoever else can go ahead.
can go ahead, Lenise, I think.
Oh, okay. I'll go ahead. So I identify target market as the people you intend to provide the service to.
Exactly. So you can have different segments within your target market. So I'm going to pick estate planning because I have worked with an estate planning attorney before. And the attorney I worked for focused on the elderly and then families that were just starting and, starting to have children. So they were worried about guardians if if there was a tragic accident. But if they were planning ahead, she could reach some young families. So she had two target market segments. So why do I need to know more about my customers, my industry, and my competitors? Does anyone know about Backlot Coffee? They're up on Irving Park Road. And next, a couple blocks down is a Starbucks. And Backlot Coffee is doing very well compared to Starbucks. Backlot knows what its customer wants and what they want and how they want it. So they have specialized coffees, they have specialized teas, they have a parking lot. So they have learned about their customers and they're able to compete against a huge company. Elena asks, is this information outlined in the workbook that we'll be receiving? How in-depth notes should we be taking? Yes, when you get your workbooks, you should get them in the next couple days. There is a page, and you'll see in the homework, pages 23 to 30 in your book will cover target market, but ask any questions that you have.
I guess I would, as we're diving deep, since we are all service providers, I think it's a little, at least for me, I can only speak for myself, but without a product, it's hard to say like the quality of what I provide is better than the quality of what my competitor provides. And so I'm not, I'm not familiar with Backlot Coffee, but I imagine if the coffee itself is not the winner that brings the customers in, then there has to be something else in the service or the ambiance that draws people in.
Right. That's exactly right. And that's what happened. They figured out people in the neighborhood. It might not have happened in another neighborhood because you'll have a different group of neighbors and different community members, but they just spent a lot of time talking to people in the community to cater to them, and it works. Does someone else have a question? I thought I heard.
No,
I do. This is Angela.
Okay.
Again, I only saw this addressed in a very limited fashion in the article. But it would be helpful to me if we could have some examples or think about how to translate this for those of us who are B2B.
Yeah, I'm going to go through
That's the same point that the young lady before me also made, I believe.
Yeah, we're going to go through a B2C and B2B, both types of profiles to consider. So why do you need a target customer? Because there are so many ways to spend your money, and you need to research your target market to determine how to create your marketing strategy. So I hear so often that people have started their business. I think I told you, started their business and started their website and started their social media, but they don't even know what their target customer likes. So for example, if you are targeting an elderly person and a young family, that's two different marketing strategies. A young family is not going to be accepting information in the same way an elderly person will be. And maybe the family will inform the elderly person, but you're going to want to reach them also. So you're going to have a different marketing strategy. You're going to use different tactics to reach a young family that might be on Instagram, and an elderly person that might take direct mail or, flyers at their doorstep. So you have to really consider who your target customer is. And we're going to go into how to describe them. So here is a sample target customer for those who are B2C. And we're going to work on developing your avatar or your assumed avatar for one of your segments. So you may have multiple segments, but we'll work on one. So in this case, Lisa Johnson is age 32. She's a graphic designer and art director. She makes $75,000. She lives in Pennsylvania. She's married. She has a 2-year-old daughter, and she's planning for baby number 2. She has a bachelor's degree from Penn State. So can anyone, just from 5 pieces of information about Lisa, think about how you could reach Lisa?
Facebook.
Social
Mom?
media.
Yes, social
Alumni.
media.
Some kind of alumni. Yeah.
Yeah, alumni, Penn State alumni, you could target them. On LinkedIn, you can, she also, I didn't go down here even further, she's a feminist. Well, she consumes feminist and design podcasts, ebooks, Instagram, LinkedIn, and she's obsessed with Instagram design accounts. So this may not be your target, it probably isn't your target customer, but think about how this applies to you. Would your customer, what's a different way you could find them? And tomorrow when we have our innovation class, we'll talk about testing your ideas.
Yeah, if you do a census search as well on the demographic of the income, you can still reach her by the income, and then you can also still reach her with the fact that she has a daughter. So it gets very granular when you do that. It's more invasive as well.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you could go through her school, the daughter's daycare. So then here we have a B2B sample target customer. So in this case, you're selling a design services, website services, marketing services, and your target is going to be Tommy Technology at the business that you're targeting. So you need to learn more about a typical IT staff accountant. This one, he's a staff accountant at Founder Accounting. So you need to learn more about him, and you can do so by looking at your past customers or looking at your competitors' past customers to see if you can generalize about a typical B2B staff accountant. And then you'll learn more about how to target them. So he completed his undergraduate degree at Penn State, his master's at Cornell, has a serious girlfriend and 2 dogs. Demographics might not matter as much, but goals matter a lot for Tommy Technology. He wants to become a senior accountant within 3 to 5 years. He networks aggressively in order to build professional contacts. So he may be open to talking to you, and he may be maybe not the decision maker, but the path to the decision maker. His challenges, he struggles with being seen as the young guy in the office and being taken less seriously as a result. His objectives, he loves the idea of a new website, but his boss will never go for it. He doesn't see the value in new technology. So his boss doesn't take his ideas seriously, but maybe if you work with him and get him to really promote the idea of a new website, he would be the person to contact. Maybe he wouldn't be the sample target. Maybe you really need to get to the boss who makes the decision. But you're going to want to think of inroads into the company, and Tommy Technology may be the way to go. Any questions?
That's a good way you mentioned about a way to get your foot in the door. So he may not be my direct customer, but he will be like the first step to getting to my direct customer.
Right, right.
Then, okay, thank you. Yeah.
I think for him, since considering, so I'm really considering the right side of the grid here, the challenges, the objectives, and then his fears. So even if we started with him, perhaps making a case that matters to him, and also kind of probing him for some questions that might better make the case for how we can appeal to the actual decision maker.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe to like just asking some of the questions like we'd be asking about him. If the boss doesn't particularly care about new technology, maybe trying to address something that he does care about. Like, are you losing customers because they can't find you digitally? You know, is your website serving you, and so forth and so on. So just using some other pieces and, you know, kind of going with him, if he at least is the person that's willing to talk to you, and seeing how you guys can work together to persuade the decision maker or loop somebody else in that has more of that, more pull, for lack of a better word, more pull with the boss.
Right. And these challenges and common objections and biggest fears won't become clear probably within the first meeting, but getting to know your sample target market will help you, you know, learn more about the biggest fears, the common objections, and the challenges that they face. Any questions? Okay. We also say you have to be like Oprah and know your Susie. So when Oprah and her producers plan their shows, they ask themselves about their target market, and their target market segment was women at home, so stay-at-home moms in the suburbs. And so Oprah really narrowed her target market segment down, narrowed who she wanted to target. It didn't mean she didn't attract other target markets, because she focused on one, but by focusing on one, she didn't have to spend as much on marketing to begin with. She could gear her shows towards that target market and figure out what they wanted. And she didn't think she had to please everyone, but everyone became involved in it. So what she did is she would sit down and with her producers and say, would Susie care about this topic? After creating her avatar, why would this matter to Susie? What questions would Susie ask the show's guest? So Oprah and her team would imagine the show that her target market would want to see, and then she'd create the show. And then in turn, the husbands of Susie would get involved, the family of Susie, the mother of Susie. So she really knew her Susie. So this is what we say, you need to get out and know your Susie.
Laura, let me ask you about that. I don't know if anybody else, is struggling with Alyssa a little bit. I mean, I think one of the things I took away from the Talking to Humans was, pretty much exactly what you said. But I think one of the things that's hard about being an entrepreneur, right, is you have this idea about what you think you're going to provide and what you want to provide. And then essentially, I feel like the messaging with the rest of this is you might not actually be able to do what you want to do based on what you find out there. And that's kind of I don't know, disheartening really, because you're just like, okay, basically the message is, sure, you get to do this, but you have to do it a certain way if you want to be successful. And I'm just wondering if there's I don't know, a way to still do what you intended to do, or if you just have to say, I'm putting that on hold briefly, because I don't know. I mean, Oprah's target market, seems like she's still kind of doing that today, but she's been able to shift, maybe just because over the years she was so successful that, but it's just, yeah, one of those things I just wanted to address as something that I think can be challenging from where we stand.
Yes. I mean, yeah, the trick to entrepreneurship is to fail fast. It's hard news. That's why we say you have to be unstoppable to do this, because you're going to find out some bad things. I mean, not bad things, but negative things. People might not like your idea, but isn't it better to figure that out before you've spent $30,000 on someone to help you with your sales strategy? I know it's your passion and it's hard to take, and as an unpaid, I'm paid for my job, but you're paying me for this class, but I can tell you the negative side of things, because if you pay someone, they're going to want to, if you're paying a consultant to tell you your business is doing well, they're going to take your money. They'll partner with you, but they'll keep telling you that, yes, this is a great idea. Yes, this is a great idea, when really you need to get out there and figure out if the market thinks it's a good idea. Because I think all your ideas are great, but I don't know, I'm not in each of your situations. Yeah, I'm not your target market.
I think one thing that was interesting, and I mean, maybe I missed maybe I skipped this part of the article somehow, but the one thing I saw in Talking to Humans is that with the pillow people, for example, it seemed like their main reason they wanted to create this pillow, different kind of pillow, was for the environmental impact. And it was interesting, that was not at all what they were asking people about when they were out there doing their research. It didn't seem to be an important thing that they were inquiring about. They were inquiring about, why do you buy a pillow? And I mean, maybe those people just didn't think of that, but it almost seemed like that their idea was so innovative that it was like people weren't even aware that that would be something that they would want to pay attention to when buying a pillow, and it's like, right. How do you start to help people be aware of that? I mean, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting thing, that was their motivation, but it didn't seem like they were finding that out there. But I just felt like part of the reason they weren't finding that out there is because maybe people didn't even know that was a need that they had, or a pain point that they had,
Yeah, education can be a big part of starting up. I know I'm working with a client who, she wanted to start kind of like a co-working space for therapists. So beginning therapists would each have a room in her space, and she started it before coronavirus, and she couldn't convince people to go into spaces, and she didn't want to rent a big office space, but she started educating the therapists, and she ended up, that's her business now, is to educate therapists who want to start up their own business. And then now she's progressing, because things are opening up. She just found a small space, so she's going to have two rooms that the therapist can co-work in, and then other therapists can join in the space at other times of the day. So she started out with education, which is, I think, might be an important way to start. You know,
So-
instead of saying you're providing consulting services, say you'll lead a workshop.
I was just gonna, just kind of thinking about what Kate was saying and what you're saying. It's, I guess, at what point, or at some point, maybe, with the research and trying to, pin down what exactly you're going to do and how. At some point, you may find that you're going to do it differently, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you could
and
just tweak it a bit.
so it may not be exactly what you set out for it to be. And I think that's kind of what I just didn't really know how to set mine out, but I'm finding, just through going through some of the processes here that it's a little easier to define, but I can imagine once I start talking to people and really seeing, what they think about what I'm saying, what I want to
Right,
do,
right,
I might find that there's some other things that I need to do.
right.
Is that
Okay, I'm going to share this video here.
From the beginning, our mission has always been to make everyday healthy eating exciting. We were all just sick of eating the same boring meals. Plain yogurt for breakfast, veggies and quinoa for dinner. So, we set off to add excitement to every food, for everyone, everywhere, at every time of day. Totally doable, right? Not exactly. But nevertheless, week 1, we decided our customers, everyone. Men, women, chefs, people who eat out, people who don't, moms, single people, and busy people. Everyone wants healthy, delicious food, right? Well, yes, but the same solution isn't going to work for everyone. So going into week 2, we narrowed in on people who love to cook. We went to talk to some of these people in the spice aisle.
I'm cooking lamb chops tonight. It takes 27 different spices to make a good lamb chop, and I like to customize the mix each time.
These people don't need help making everyday eating exciting. We realize that they are not our customer. Our customers are busy people who need a simple way to improve everyday eating. So week 3, we decided to go talk to some moms.
My kids are smart. I can't even put pepper on their food. They would notice immediately if I added something new, and they would never eat it.
It turns out moms don't need this for their kids, but because they would use this to improve their own meals. So next, we thought, who else needs to spice up their meals? Week 4, we talked to dieters.
I constantly look for things that add flavor without adding calories.
So dieters want this, but do their friends? Week 5, we talked to young, busy people.
I eat plain yogurt for breakfast and microwave frozen veggies from Trader Joe's for dinner.
This is when we discovered our target customer, the meal hacker. Meal hackers don't follow recipes or plan their meals out ahead of time. They prepare basic weeknight dinners that are hacked together and seasoned with only salt, pepper, and olive oil. They want delicious, healthy meals in a convenient way that feels cool. So we created Topped. We went through the next 4 weeks looking at the rest of our business model canvas. But for now, enjoy these videos of us hacking our way through this class.
Okay, did everyone understand that video? So as the video showed you, creating a meaningful, unique value proposition requires you to be really specific. So they went through believing that everyone would like their Topped and narrowed it down to a really small segment. So if you really want to make a difference for the audience you want to serve, you have to know them well. So the solution is to really think about who's your viable audience, which is too broad, and who's your minimum audience. So the smallest possible audience you can serve and sustain your business. everyone wants to reach the maximum audience to be seen, you want to be seen by millions. You want to maximize your return on investment, but you really need to focus and find your niche. So if we really want to reach everyone, we have to average it out and dumb it down. But you can see the problem. When you engage everyone, you really don't please anyone. So you need to focus on your minimum viable audience. So if you stake out the smallest audience, the market you can imagine, the smallest market that can sustain you and your team, it is really beneficial. It goes against everything you learn about capitalism, but it's really the way to go. So here's an example of Airbnb. So they started out and they focused on the 100 customers who loved them rather than the million of people who would have just liked them. This was their minimum viable audience. So it was better to have the 100 people like them. And a quote from the founder said, "All movements grow this way." There was no way we could get 1 million people on Airbnb, but we could get 100 people to love us. So they focused on making a difference for a small pool of people, and then through word of mouth, through marketing, they reached a huge market.
Maura, let me just ask a quick question there too. One thing I've also been struggling with a little bit is, and I feel like this kind of is like tied together with your target audience, is what service, like the breadth of services you could provide versus like the minimum service that's potentially like of the most value to your customer, right? Like, let's just say, for me, I can do genealogy and I can do interviewing and I can do lots of hours of interviewing, or I could do a few number of hours of interviewing. I can also help them, transcribe. I can transcribe all the interviews. I can put it in a book. I can put it into an audio product, a video product. And it's just like, wow, that can be overwhelming for me and for a potential customer, right? So it's like also maybe potentially about narrowing down exactly what the audience needs or wants, or what provides the most value to them.
Yes, so you're going to start educating them and then, tell them about all these different service offerings and see what they start leaning towards and being more interested, and you'll learn that by, through your questions and answers, and then take that specific product and specific revenue stream and start with that. And through that, you're going to see what other customers may like. So maybe they'll like the interviews at first, and then they'll say, would you, create a book of our interviews, or, transcribe our interviews. So you have to figure out what they really want, solve their problems, figure out what the problem that they really have is. Do they not have time to do this, or do they have the time but not the energy? So by talking to them, you'll figure it out.
So
any other questions? I think a lot of you are already in niches and have focused on smaller pieces of your target market, or smaller pieces within the whole scheme of things. So you just have to narrow it down even further. Someone had a question?
Yeah, I guess I was just thinking in terms of the market research and looking at what it is that people I guess would be more focused on, because you have all of these things you can do. And so the questions, I mean, do you need to focus the questions on all of these things you can do, or just let them kind of be broad and then find out what people respond to
Yeah, find
most.
out what people, find out the problem that you can solve for them. So yeah, let them lead you.
A lot of times, I think the customer knows the problem and they know what they want. It's mostly finding the provider. I think that's where I see myself as more like a provider, because I'm not inventing a solution, or maybe I'm inventing but a solution for them. But so the customer is already there and they know what they want, and
Yeah.
we are trying to be the provider. But then one of the big challenges I face is the pricing. They have a certain budget and they're just looking for somebody cheaper, unless they try that person and they realize the value, they're not gonna. Are we talking, I mean, we'll talk pricing separately, or is this?
Yeah, we'll talk pricing separately. Yeah, but that is,
Okay.
another issue you have to
Okay.
overcome. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I was just thinking too that it's important, even when we're trying to identify what it is our market needs, that we know truly like what our goals are. Because I think, like for me, one of the services I offer is clearly my moneymaker. Like hands down, I know that. But it's not the thing I really enjoy doing.
Which service is this?
Financial management and bookkeeping. Like hands down, that's my moneymaker. But I don't fully like enjoy it. I just know it's the moneymaker. And so I had to kind of come to terms with what's the balance between getting money in the door, absolutely, making revenue, but also what parts of my business I enjoy and what was my goals. And so even in that, I found that listening, when people come to the door and they're like, yes, I just need you to manage my books, and handle that part. It's oftentimes through a conversation, I can see that there's some deeper needs, but we start with the place to, that they're asking for very directly, and then have the opportunity to grow things a little more and, produce more revenue, produce a better relationship, and then be able to proceed forward. But I still have to have in my mind what my goals are and where I'm most comfortable. And if it mattered to me, if it didn't matter to me how I got my money, as long as I got it, it would be a different thing versus actually wanting to enjoy my work and provide a service.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe down the line, you can hire someone to do the stuff that you don't like to do and manage them, and then work with the client and figure out, how you can help them the way that you like to help them.
Yep, that's exactly what's the plan. It's like, nope, we're gonna get somebody else in to do this so I can really, hone in on the pieces I enjoy.
Because some people will love bookkeeping.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Linese, I've dealt with that same problem. And as Maura mentioned, I have a virtual assistant bookkeeper who does all the stuff that I don't enjoy doing it. And then it still works because the clients want some part of it. Although my main focus is consulting, they still want some help with accounting. So I kind of outsource it to somebody else.
Great.
Really quickly, but isn't that what we should be idealistically pursuing as small businesses and entrepreneurs? To actually understand our business, get an idea, grasp it. And then once we do those certain tasks that become mundane, our initial objective would be to outsource it, in terms of not losing focus, not losing motivation, not losing your initial why, as into why I even began this journey from the beginning.
Right, that's true. So we're going back to the business model canvas where we talked about the problem you're solving and who you're creating value for. So your unique value proposition and your target market. And we talked about how when you create the business model canvas, it's really a list of assumptions that you need to get out and test. So for the next part of class, we're going to talk about how to test your target market. So I want you to start thinking about this. It's time for a break. Let's just go through this and then we'll take a break and then you'll meet together and work through this. So here are some assumptions, and you can use the tool that I sent to you, the growth wheel tool, to build your assumptions. So we believe that we will solve this customer problem. We believe that our customers will be in the demographics, and maybe demographics don't matter to you, but instead you could put the occupations. We believe our customers will be in the occupations. We believe our customers also enjoy. We believe that we can sell our products at. So by creating your avatar and the psychographics and demographics, you are going through and creating these assumptions. So what we're going to do for the next 20 minutes after our break is get into groups. You'll have time to create a list of assumptions about one of your target market segments. I know a number of you have a couple target market segments. And you can use the growth wheel tool as a guide because it does go over some psychographics about what the person likes. And you can think about those avatars we went over that discuss challenges and obstacles. And then we'll discuss that amongst each other and get back in the group and talk more. So why don't we take a 5-minute break now and come back at...
Laura, I have a question.
Sure.
I don't see the growth wheel tool.
Okay. I emailed it to you yesterday.
Okay. So I received the mock interviews and the customer persona. So I'll go back in my email.
Oh, that's it. The customer persona.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Okay, so why don't we meet back here at 9:57, and then I'll put you into groups so you can work through and talk about your target market segments. Any questions? Okay, see you in 5 minutes. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I'm going to put you into breakout rooms. There are some rooms that have 3 people and some have 4. And we'll work for the next 20 minutes in the breakout rooms. So make sure you each get a chance to talk about your target market and start writing down some assumptions about who you think your target market is. Okay, I'll see you at 10:20. So Felicitas and Aisha, I didn't know if you wanted to join a room.
Hey, Maura. Yeah, put me in a room if you don't mind. I'm learning a
Okay.
lot.
Okay, great. I'll put you into a room with 3 people.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. Aisha, do you want to go in? Why does the host? I don't know why this is like. No, why it keeps. Welcome back. Now I can't hear you, Julie.
I was in the middle of, I accidentally came back soon. I was in the middle of talking and thought I was clearing away, but I was actually leaving the chat room.
Oh,
Back
okay.
in a minute. Yeah.
They should be, people are coming back now. Okay, welcome back, everyone. How was that? Were you able to come up with some assumptions about your target market?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, it
great.
was helpful. Yep.
Too short, too short.
Yes.
Too short? Oh, you could have used a longer time. A fun exercise. Oh, great, Marilyn. I'm glad it worked. Okay, so you use these customer discovery assumptions and we'll move forward with that. Does anyone have any questions? I'm just going to give people the opportunity to pitch. I don't know if you want to take it. Give us your 30-second pitch just to practice, because as you know, the last session will be a 2-minute pitch that you'll do in front of us and a couple panelists. So if anyone wants to take the opportunity now, we can have a couple people pitch. We have time for that. And you just would say your name, your business name, and the problem, your unique value proposition.
Okay. I'd like to give it a shot. So,
Okay, great.
so hi, everybody. My name is Mahen Gosar, and I run a company called 20 Consulting. The website is 20cg.com. It's a 2-person company. We just started in the pandemic. The name 20 stands for that, 2020, year 2020. Anyway, the service we provide is we help medium and high growth companies scale their finance organization to the next level. We help them provide analytics behind the data, help them develop KPIs, perform diligence, and anything that goes under a CFO umbrella. We provide them as a service, like, you know, as a consulting service. And so, yeah.
Great. And what would you say would be the result? So after you could add, after we are done working with the client, their processes are more streamlined. They know their financials better.
They get the foggy thing is clear. They can see what's working, what's not working. They have a dashboard of areas that are most concerned to them, and they can track their process. And the most important, they'll have one source of truth. It won't be he said, she said, or, oh, that's just like more vague ideas. Anything would be supported by numbers. Now a lot of times you cannot give BS to the leaders saying, oh, you know, this thing happened, that's why my numbers are off. Now you have a data supporting.
Right.
So.
Oh, good. So I would add that to your pitch. That's great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
I prepared a little bit of a pitch, but it might change. It might change slightly based on the conversation I've had with my crew, my little threesome in the last in our chat. So I put together. This is my pitch. Leadership is a major indicator of success within a school district organization. Leadership for equity, diversity, and inclusion is a critical need in order to bridge adult consciousness with students and their academic and social emotional development. Enriching leadership, which is the name I'm playing with, will assist you in defining your needs around developing a culture of equity and working with you as a co-creator of your enrichment as a leader in this critical area. Your individual leadership alone with your administrative team growth and enrichment is our focus. I will help you assess your needs and then develop a coaching cycle that will meet those needs.
Terrific. And again, maybe a result. So the result is that you'll have a more open team, or be ready to face DEI obstacles that come up.
And then we talked about possibly making more of a, and I've been talking about this myself, and then my group kind of helped me with that too, is to really focus more on leadership in general with that equity lens, that equity, diversity, and inclusion lens that I use to do the training. So because some people are going to be ready to dive into that topic, and others will be more oblivious and just really being not oblivious, well, maybe oblivious, but they're not seeing that as necessarily a need in their organization, even though it's a need in every organization. And so really going in and focusing more on developing and enriching as leaders, as the leadership of the organization. And then I use an equity lens as I do that development. So it's kind of that type of thing.
Yeah, that's good.
That's one of the pieces of feedback. Thank you.
Great. Okay, we have time for one more. Does anyone else want to go? Okay, we'll move on then, and you can take an opportunity next week. Okay, so we're just going to go into the interviews, understanding your customer better. So I sent you the questions, but here are some rules. You want to start with one of your target market segments to interview. You don't want to try to address everything at one time. So focus on one target market segment and have a systematic way of taking notes and pinpointing your results. So if you heard something positive, note that. If you heard something negative, note that. And then, if you do it in an Excel spreadsheet, you'll be able to compare the differences between your interviewees and then be able to tell when you've reached that saturation point. You want to talk about their life instead of your idea. You want to talk about specifics in the past instead of generics or opinions about the future. And always remember to talk less and listen more. I think this was all in Talking to Humans. So I sent a few questions to think about, and feel free to add more, take out some, but I want you to think about, like I said before, you want to get your interviewee to talk about how they've solved the problem before, and then start introducing the services that you offer. Not to ask them if they'll buy them or if they're interested, but to just get a general feeling about whether they would buy into the services, whether they're interested, whether they keep asking questions, or whether the conversation just stops. So you want to say, what's the hardest part about leadership within a school for Julie's case? Or what's the hardest part about, for Mahan, getting your KPIs together? And then why was that hard? And if you've done anything to solve that problem, and what don't you love about the solutions you've tried? So these do's and don'ts came from Talking to Humans. I think you'll know most of these. I guess the don'ts are really the things to think about. Don't have an endless list of questions. Don't talk to anyone with a pulse. Again, you want to concentrate on your target market segment. Don't do focus groups for now. You can do those after you have done a number of one-on-one. Talk to one person at a time. Like Kate said, you don't really, your excitement and optimism may come forward, but you don't want to let it bias what you hear, because you may start hearing that this person doesn't like your services or would never use them. But maybe by tweaking it, they would use them. Yeah, don't ask people to speculate if they pay for this or if they would buy this. Don't pitch unless you actually try to close for real money. Don't talk so much. Don't be afraid of silence. Let them think about things. Yeah, don't go off of your script. So if you find a question and you find that people are interested, the other person's really interested in a topic, go question that further rather than sticking to it. Are these slides in the email sent? These slides are not, but they are in, I think they're in the Talking to Humans article I sent to you. I'll check with that. And if they're not at the, I think they're at the last page of the Talking to Humans article. Don't leave empty-handed if you can help it. You need to ask for other people to talk to from the person you're talking to. So let them be a referral source for you. Don't take one conversation literally. Like I said, you're gonna have to talk to many people. Oh, it's in the appendix. Thank you, Angela. Okay, so now I'm gonna pair you up again in about, we'll do this for, I'm gonna have to say 18 minutes so we can come back and talk. You'll do 9 minutes. Well, let's do 20. So the first 2 minutes, you'll be coming up with the questions or using the questions that I sent to you in the email. I'm gonna pair you up with one other person and you're gonna interview one another for maybe 8 minutes each, take turns. So 8 minutes for one person, 8 minutes to the other. And then we'll brainstorm when you get back about possible interviewees that you can think about making appointments with in the next 8 weeks that we have, or the 7 weeks we have together. Okay.
Real quick, I have a real quick question. I'm not seeing that do's and don'ts in the appendix of the, I didn't.
You're not. Okay, I'll check that and I'll get it to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sure. I'm gonna pair you up one-on-one. Okay. Okay, I'm going to open all rooms and you will have 20 minutes. So we will meet back here at, let's check, about 10:52. I'm going to give you 18 minutes, 10:52. So we have time to close it up. Okay. There you go. So interview each other and see what that's like. Hi there. Welcome back. Okay, how did that go? Did everyone get a chance to talk to take a turn in interviewing or discussing your business idea?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Great.
Too short again, as someone else said.
Okay.
Yep, too short.
Too short. Okay.
We were counting seconds. We used the last second.
Oh, you did?
I think it's very,
Pardon?
yeah, I think it's very helpful. So we actually have to imagine the role we have never played before. So I was asked from Melissa about, I have a family member who has a mental health issue. So what I am experiencing. So I have to imagine, myself in that situation and provide some feedback. That was very helpful, just, to think details. What would be that customer experience?
Right.
Just
Yeah.
put myself in that shoe. Yeah,
Right.
it was very, very, very great experience and a very great exercise.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear. Anyone else have any feedback? Okay, can anyone start thinking about who your possible interviewees may be? Because we're going to start, and some of the homework will be to interview to come up with 12 names and to see if you can get on the calendar of 2 people within the next week. I suggest that they're not family and friends, but maybe you start with one family member this week to test your interview questions. I mean, they're going to be changing all the time, but to test the way you interview. Okay.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
When you go to interview somebody, do you talk about what your goal is first? I mean, like, do you give them a pitch, or how do you preface that?
So I do it by saying this is an informational interview. I want to learn more about you and tell you a little bit about what I'm doing, but it's for information only. And people are always willing to talk if you can get them. So yeah, but I think the hardest part is getting someone to take 20 minutes with you. But they're always willing to talk and share.
Oh, there is a platform called Lunch Club. I don't know if people are aware, but I've had so many people that I had to stop. That platform was taking up so much time because it sets up one-on-one with random people. And you can, it's like LinkedIn, but you can mention what kind of people you want or what areas you want to focus on, so it won't.
Oh, wow.
But man, that was exactly, I have no problem. Like, I wish I had done this class earlier, so then during my lunch club meetings I could just bombard them with these questions. And
yeah, can you put that in the chat? Do you have the site you go to?
Yeah, I'll put it one second.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing. I think that's a great idea. You might not find your target market segment, but you may be able to practice your interview.
The only thing is you have to get invited to that. That's invite only type site. So.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Can you invite us, Maham?
Say, can you invite us?
Somebody, of course, I don't know how to, if I can get email addresses, I can put them in my thing and they will get a link and go from there.
Okay. Yeah.
Is everyone email addresses? I'm sorry.
I just wondered, is everyone willing to share their email addresses?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I guess
I think they're already in the email you sent us. I think.
Oh, yeah. They are.
They
are, but
so they're already there.
Okay. Everyone said yes, share their email. Yeah, I can Mahan, can you get them from the email? Because I always put them in the to everyone,
Oh,
so I
yeah,
don't blind.
yeah, she's right. Yeah, there's
Okay.
a bunch of email addresses, so
Okay.
I'll send them invites from my account so they can join it. It's that's a good place. I came to my mind for asking questions or finding people.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, sure.
Nice. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so this is all we covered today. Your homework, I'm going to send this out in an email, and this is a lot of work. So the number 1 and number 2 are most important. Number 3, 4, and 5 are when you get your books. And those are all supplemental to this class. So you don't have to do the books. I suggest you do eventually. They will help you once you've targeted your idea, targeted your market segment. They'll help you build your business plan because they go through the executive summary, company background, target market, market segmentation, marketing strategy, tactics, finances, accounting. So they're very informative and will help you build your business plan. And then I think you want to do number 6. So 1, 2, and 6, if you don't have time for anything else, revise your business model canvas after your interviews. So if you find that your target market has switched a bit because you heard something interesting from someone that's different than you think, or some new traits of your target market. And then if you could find your NAICS code, your industry code for our research session. So that's your industry code, and you can find that by just Googling NAICS. If you guys could just write in the chat what you learned today, that would be helpful. This is a tool that we recommend. Again, it's more for when you're in the business planning stage of things, but it is free, and it's Kaufman's Fast Track. It goes through ideation. So thinking of your idea, making it a reality, positioning your idea in the marketplace, and committing to reaching your marketplace. I'll put in the chat how you get there. www.fasttrack.org. Okay, and I thought this quote was poignant. Get closer than ever to your customers, so close, in fact, that you tell them what they need well before they realize it themselves.
My pen dropped.
Okay. Actually, it won't be have a great week because I'll see you tomorrow. If you can join us, I'm hoping everyone can join us because we have our Colette Bashemi from our innovation team. She's going to talk to you about testing business ideas, and especially for service industries. So that is tomorrow from 11 to 1. I sent you the link so you can join us on Zoom tomorrow at 11. Any questions?
Did you say the same Zoom link?
It's not the same one.
Oh.
So I sent it to you with the customer persona and the questions. So it should be in that email that I sent yesterday.
Oh, there it is.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll see everyone tomorrow, and Colette will be guiding you through that session. Okay, have a great day and enjoy the sunshine. Let's see what people said they learned. Oh, focus interview questions, narrowing your target market, learning and more, clear understanding, focusing, focus my interviewing, narrowing down my avatar even more, and places to look for clients and customers. Great. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.